Well, hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Another live stream. Oh, man. How's everyone doing? Let's see. We got, looks like Australia is here. Isn't it tomorrow in Australia? We got Portland, Oregon. I see, where else? Not that many people. Stream's just getting started here. We got 152 people already logged on. Okay, we got Alabama, Wichita, Kansas, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, Philly, California, UK, New York, St. Joseph's, Seattle, Florida, Arizona, Finland, Colorado, man, New Jersey. Okay, y'all are going too fast. Jamaica. All right, so I do have 3 laptops in the chat there that you can vote for. And while y'all are voting on that one, actually, someone just put this on my desk right before the stream started. This is a 5520, and it is stuck in a forever BIOS loop error. So it's trying to do a BIOS update, and it keeps erroring out. So we're going to see if we can use the official Dell recovery system in order to fix this BIOS. I'm just going to do that as a, while we're waiting for these votes to go through. But we got 3 different laptops listed for our voting. We have an Alienware. They're all Alienwares tonight. And I'm wearing my I Probe Aliens shirt, which I have links in the video description if you want one of these shirts. But because we're going to be probing only aliens tonight, all right, guys? So we got 3 Alienwares in there. We got a M17R3, will not power on. The 17R5, which is an older machine, like a 2016 or 17 machine, maybe 18. And the LCD connector, it's like giving a 2.7 error, but so we're gonna have to probably replace the entire LCD connector. So if you've never seen one of those replaced, a 40-pin connector, we can do that. The M15R7 is the Ryzen edition, the AMD. No signs of life. This is a common issue with these machines. I'm starting to hate those laptops. Not going to be, everyone's voting for that one. We got 50% of the people actually voting for the 15R7 right now, which is the Ryzen one. But cast your votes. Hey, Tim, you bought 4 of the shirts? Awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah, I Probe Aliens. I thought that was pretty funny. Let's see. So I want to show you this real quick. I know we're all chatting, we're voting right now, but let's just look at this while we're, voting, basically. We're just going to try to figure this out. I'm starting to read some of the chats, and it gets my mind kind of pulled off to the side. So one of it says, what camera do you use to record the top of the bench? So this is, this camera above me is going to be the Nikon Z30, just a cheap mirrorless camera with just the regular lens. And then I'm using HDMI out, going into a capture card. And then I have to put a cooling fan on it. Is my cooling fan on? Yeah. So you have to put a cooling fan on the back of it or it overheats. It's pretty funny. But, and then my front-facing camera right here, this one, that is an old Samsung S10. But I'm using a piece of software that allows me to use it as a webcam, and I just route it into OBS. So it's nice because it's compact, it's off to the side. It looks crisp enough, right? It looks pretty good for a cell phone that was made, what, in 2019, 2020? I don't know. So, but let me show you what this thing's doing. This is a 5520, and you know what I'm noticing here? Let me see if I can fix this. The chat that's on screen is actually going off the screen, so let me see if I can fix this a little bit. Let me slide that over. That's much better. Okay, so what's happening here? We turn this on. My other technician turned this on and he was like, hey, do you know what's going on with this? So I'm going to power it on. Let's plug in the power, actually. All right. All right, so when we turn this on, we start to see the Dell screen, and then it goes straight into a BIOS update. And so it's stuck in this type of BIOS update. What's going on there, JFix? Missed you the last couple weeks. I just watched your video today. Good job. Yeah, so it gets this screen right here. What does it say? It says BIOS auto recovery, corrupted BIOS recovery. And so now it's not very bright here. Let me see if I can get this brightened up. Of course, it's not going to be bright enough. And the reflections. So basically what it's doing is it's trying to reflash it, and then it throws this error. There's like this red error here. I don't know why it's not very bright. It was bright earlier. And then it just does it again, over and over again. So that's all it does, is it just boots up, tries to flash the BIOS, throws an error, and just does it over and over again. So the customer sent this in. So we're going to try to use Dell's official BIOS recovery method, and here's how we do it. And cast your votes. Actually, let me update the note on the screen, and that way we can tell people to cast their votes here. This is still from last week. Okay. All right, so we have that updated. All right, so yeah, this is back into doing that BIOS recovery again. And it looks like it's actually going to successfully do it. It's like writing it, it's writing it, it's writing it. And then it throws an error. And then that's it. So that's the whole loop. So we need to turn this thing off all the way if we're going to get this thing to go. And I'm going to show you how we do it. But first we need to get the BIOS recovery file from Dell. If I can find my flash drive. Let me see if I can get this plugged in here. Okay, got it. Let me see if I can catch up on some of these chats here. You guys are talking about yourself. If you're asking me questions, it's hard for me to catch it. Hey, Dave, made it. Dave's our mod here. Oh, JFix, I was going to make you a mod too, if you don't mind. Do you mind being a mod on this? So let me get onto Dell's site, and we need to download the BIOS recovery file. All right, going to Dell.com. Let's see. Hopefully you can see my screen. So what we need to do is download Dell's official BIOS recovery file for this, and this is a 5520 Latitude 5520. And go to Downloads. I don't know how much of this you can see. Downloads. And what we need to download is going to be this other formats. It's going to be this RCV file. This is going to be an official BIOS recovery file. And then I'm going to copy that onto my flash drive. Copying. All right, so what we're going to do is we hold down Control and Escape, plug in the power, the machine will turn on automatically. It will read from that flash drive, and then it should be able to just do a recovery. And we should be able to fix this machine without having to do any crazy BIOS recovery, where we pull the motherboard out and do all that stuff. All right, back to the right view. So I'm going to put our flash drive in the side. Y'all keep voting. By the way, we got 461 viewers and 206 votes. Keep voting. So basically we have a vote up there. There's 3 different laptops that you want to see me work on. I need you guys to vote. Right now the Alienware M15R7 is winning. But, there's multiples, and then we're going to end up, I don't want this thing to turn on. We don't want this on when we do this. So I'm going to turn this off, make sure it's all the way off. It's all the way off. Okay. So here's how this works. We're going to take our fingers, do Control and Escape. We're going to hold those down while we plug in the power. And then the machine should automatically come on and start pulling some current. Let's see my power meter. There we go. It's not connected. Well, you can actually see it blinking here. I think it's reading the file. But I'm not seeing anything on the screen. Okay, we got a screen. So I'm going to look for this blinking, like it's reading the file. All right, so we made it to this BIOS recovery. Look at this. So we actually made it to a screen where we can recover the BIOS officially. You remember I've been complaining about this for a long time, that Dell's BIOS recovery is a joke? Well, I figured out that if you're getting a Dell screen or the symbol or the Alienware screen, you can actually use this trick and actually get to this. So we're going to say load BIOS from USB key, and I already have it in there, and it's named a special name, and then we're just going to hit OK on that. And the screen's brighter now. I don't know why. And there you go. Now it's brighter. You can see it actually writing. So we're going to let this rewrite the file, and this should be fixed. And then we're done with this one, and we can move on to the next one. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, I was going to try to fix my power meter because that's not working. Let me unplug this and plug this back in. I think this USB cord needs to be reseated here. There we go. All right, so now we can see the power meter is actually working here, pulling the current. We're going to let that just do its thing, and I'll see if I can catch up on some of these chats. I'm going to scroll back here. So whenever you're going to do this, you have to hold. The machine has to be completely off. You're going to hold Control and Escape without the power plugged in the machine. Okay, and so if you have Control and Escape plugged in or held down, and whenever you plug in the power, the machine will come on automatically. It will basically detect that you're holding those down, and it will put it in recovery. Now, there are some machines that don't come on automatically, and on those, like there's some Alienwares, you hold the Control and Escape and then hit the power button and turn it on. It will still take you to the same place. Doesn't changing the BIOS remove all the service tag and other stuff? No. That's only if the BIOS that we manually write on the chip is cleared. So I can make a cleared BIOS, so I can basically make it where it has a clean management engine region, a clean EC region. I can wipe out all of their service tag information, but when you just do a regular BIOS, it's going to detect what it is and then put all that stuff back. So vote. Everyone needs to vote still. We have 240 votes, 580 people in the stream. So I'm assuming that we're going to have to kind of wrap this up because no one else is voting. All right, let's see. Hello in the Netherlands, Puerto Rico, passport, man. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are just here hanging out and not voting. I mean, I know people are watching on TV, and that's fine, and maybe we should come up with some other way for people to vote that way, be more interactive. But right now, the M15R7 with no signs of life is winning, and then the M15R3 will not power on as the second place at 31%. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. I'm going to let this finish up, and so we can just chat until this finishes, because you never want to disturb a laptop when it's updating the BIOS. Everyone's a bot here. Greetings from New Zealand. You don't care what works on. You gets worked on. Okay. Nikon Z30 here in Brazil is 2 minimum wages. Really? You can buy them. I bought this one used for about $400. So I'm going to probably buy another one for another camera angle. You know how I like to have all my camera angles. I see my R3 made the last week, yeah. Happy BIOS flashing. So update on the laptops last week. Yeah, we could talk about that. So last week, if you joined in, so we had that eBay laptop. You had 2 motherboards. The first motherboard had a shorted, chipset or something like that. And then the second one, it kept giving a 2.7 error because of the screen. Well, I ended up flashing the EC chip with a fresh firmware, and then the screen started working. So I was able to get the machine booted up. I ran all the stress tests and everything worked. I put it back together, and then, oh, actually, no, I take that back. I booted it up, and then the GPU wasn't working, and I figured out there was a MOSFET that was not working on the GPU. I changed that out, then everything was working. Then when I put it back together at the very end after I ran tests, the GPU stopped working. And so there ended up being some sort of like issue underneath the GPU or some sort of solder joint issue, because if I heated up the back of the GPU before I turned it on, the GPU would be detected. If I didn't do that and just did a cold start, the GPU was not detected. So I went ahead and put it on, I pulled the board out, put it in on my preheater, heated the board up to 200 degrees, and then reflowed the GPU, and that fixed the issue. Now everything's working on it. So I got that laptop shipped out today. Am I dropping frames? Are we having issues? Am I choppy? It's a bit laggy. Yeah, I could see the lag on my screen too. I just didn't know if that was projecting through. So I am trying to do some extra streaming on the shorts, but I think I'm going to drop it because that seems pretty, you know, useless. Unless, let me see if people are actually picking me up on the short stream. Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody on the short stream. Well, 94 people are watching. So I don't know if I could, you know, if it gets too bad, then I'll turn it off. We'll just stick with one stream. Oh, look at this. While we were talking, look, this thing's booting the Windows now. Look at that. All right, brighten this up. Oh, got a name. There we go. And there we go. We got our Windows login. So that one got fixed up pretty easy. So no motherboard repair there, but at least we get to show the control escape, you know, Dell official recovery thing working. So we can mark that one down as a win. I saved another laptop. All right. All right, I'm going to stop the votes here, and we're going to start one new poll. And the poll is the stream too laggy? Should I try to fix it? Yeah, is it worse than last week? Because, I mean, I haven't really changed anything besides trying to stream to multiple sources. So, but here, I'm moving my hands. Is it really slow? Oh, yeah, it's laggy. Okay, I'm going to stop this other stream then. We didn't have that many people in there. Sorry, people on YouTube Shorts. There's only like 100 of you. Come over to the actual main stream, and let's see if this fixes it. Okay, I stopped the other one. Is that better? Yeah, I stopped streaming the shorts, so we'll see if that fixes it. All right. There was 500 people on the short stream. I didn't realize. Yeah, I mean, my counter wasn't working right, so hopefully most people come over here. Okay, so we're going to start, if the lagging is fixed, hopefully, because I haven't... There's nothing else I can really change. Still laggy, darn it. What else can I change? Let me do... There was actually one thing I changed on my... one of these features here. Let me disable some of these filters. Let's see, did that make it better? Oh, look at that. That's much better, huh? Look at that, okay. So I had a drop-down shadow on one of my, on my power meter here. And when I took that off of there, everything's a lot more crisp. So drop-down shadow, bad. So we're not doing that anymore. Still laggy. We're going to do a shirt called Still Laggy. Okay. No, it should be good, right? I think it is. And we can start the next repair here. All right, I put another pull up to see if it's still laggy. I'm going to grab the repair that won. What do we got? It is an M15R7, the AMD Ryzen edition, which I am not a fan of. So the two laptops that are on my Nemesis list right now, that I almost will always say that it sucks and I don't want you to buy it and I don't think you should even fix it, is this laptop and the 17-inch version of this laptop. Just to let you know. Still lagging. Oh, you're killing me here. What is going on? You got 80% still lagging. Let me think about this. This is not very good. Let me check my task manager real quick. Let me reset this program here. All right, I relaunched my program for my voltmeter because it was actually pegging my CPU. So let's see if that works. Oh, I know why, because I had my voltmeter off. All right, is that better? It seems pretty smooth on my screen now. So if it's this bad, then we might need to restart the stream like you're saying, yeah. We got 800 people here. No, we're good? Oh, worse. No dropping frames. So no is good, right? So we're good? Oh, restart, please. Wow. Okay, this is interesting. Lag here. What can I do? Because everything looks good on my side here. I got 4,000 drop frames. 10% of my frames are dropped. That's interesting. Okay. Well, let's see if we could restart then. Okay, I'm going to restart the stream. I'll be right back. Okay. Are we good now? I don't know if this is actually working or not. Let's see. Are we good? I just stopped it and restarted it. Yeah, I don't see any drop frames right now. It says 0, so. Okay, so proceed, right? Is it better? Yes, 99% of the people say it's better. Okay, cool. All right, well that was much easier than having to regenerate a whole stream. Okay, so this machine is the Ryzen edition. I was actually ranting about how I don't like this version of this Alienware. So this is going to be the Alienware M15R7, and there's a 17-inch version of this exact same laptop, and it's called the M17R5. So I don't know why they do R5 versus R7, but it's the exact same motherboard, and they both have Ryzen chips in them. The issue with this one is it's the Ryzen 9. I don't know. Every time I have one that has the Ryzen 9 in it, the machine sucks. I mean, it's just like catastrophic damage. We're having either the MOSFETs that power it are blowing out, or we're having the CPU itself just failing. So we're gonna see what happens with this one. I don't know. I haven't messed with it. So this is actually, I guess, somebody from my channel watching, and tried to detect some stuff. So he says the voltage isn't getting past the first MOSFET. So let's see. And so you can see the Ryzen 9 sticker here. All right, we're gonna hit the power button. We don't have anything happening here. Let me plug in the charger. And it just shorted out the charger. I missed it, but this was just on, right? And then it shut off, or you can see it right there. That's now it's shut off. So let me restart that. Let me plug that back in. Okay, I'm not going to plug it back in again because if there's a short on the main power rail, so basically my power meter here is showing me how much current and voltage that I'm injecting into the, not injecting, but powering the machine with. And when I plugged it in, it actually turned off and put itself into protection mode. So that means that the laptop most likely has a short on the main power rail that's telling the AC adapter to turn off. And if I just keep doing this over and over and over again, whatever is shorted is getting that 20 volts for just a momentary second, and you could be causing more damage. So the fact that I did it one time, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. And so we're going to just open it up. And I need to update my notes here on what we are working on. So, sorry, repairing Alienware was an M15R7. Okay. All right, that way people don't just keep asking. So I have the note at the bottom here, repairing. Okay, so let's open up the bottom. And while I'm unscrewing, you can ask your questions. What's wrong with the Ryzen 7? What's wrong with the Ryzen 9? So these machines, I don't know if there's anything technically wrong with the chip itself, but I'm just having a slew of these boards fail. And the fact that it cost a bunch of money, like to get these Ryzen 9 boards, I think the cheapest is about $1,000. That's kind of on the low side, maybe $1,100. And I don't even trust, because I give a year warranty on everything, parts and labor. So if I buy another one of these boards and install it for the customer, I have to warranty it for a year. And I don't even trust the board in the first place. So yeah, I don't. So I have another customer here, the same model. The CPU is bad. It's completely shorted. And I told him, I said, look, I don't even think it's worth fixing because it's just going to fail again. So we're hoping that we don't have a dead CPU on this one. Sorry to tell you. Sorry to tell you. So battery's already unplugged, which is good. And so a quick look around. So we have the main battery here. It's a Dell Genuine. We have a pair of memory sticks. We got 2 NVMe's. This one's not populated. This one is populated. There's the Wi-Fi card. This one has pretty good cooling. The laptop's pretty thick, so it can cool itself pretty well. Like I said, I don't really know what the cause of why these Ryzen chips would be, failing. But oh yeah, put a pull up for whether the CPU will be bad. Let's do that. All right, so let's see your prediction, whether this is a dead CPU or not. So it looks like it's already been taken apart. Like I said, that this customer did kind of look at my videos and was kind of following the path of power. So we are going to get under the microscope and take a look ourselves. And let's see if we can get that pulled up for you. And here we go. So what I want you to look at is this is the actual DC jack where the power comes in. And thanks for the donation, I appreciate that. So any donation to the stream, by the way, goes to the customer's laptops that I'm working on. So if there's multiple, then we just split it halfway. I don't keep a dime of it, so all your donations go straight to these customers. This is just, we pay it forward is kind of what we're doing on these streams here. Anyway, what we're saying here is that the voltage comes to the board right here, and we're going to have 4 of these pins, or it looks like 5 of these pins. So 5 are going to be positive, 5 are going to be negative. You can tell that this side's going to be the positive 19 volts or 20 volts coming into the board because it's going through a set of inductors. And then these inductors are going to energize this area of the board, which is going to go through a pair of MOSFETs. And then there's another pair of MOSFETs. So these 4 MOSFETs act as a protection circuit for the main motherboard or the main power rail to protect the laptop from damaging itself, okay? And this current sense resistor after these MOSFETs is what is, whenever it's, there's a power management chip that's monitoring the current flow through there, and it will shut off these MOSFETs. So if it sees a bunch of current or excess current going through here, then it shuts these off. So Daryl, thanks for the donation. I appreciate that. So what we want to do is we want to measure right here, and I almost guarantee we have a short on that current sense resistor. Let's see if I can find a good ground. And so we're going to be in continuity mode, where when we touch the probes together, they beep. And so if we measure coming out of the DC jack, we're not going to have a short there, because these MOSFETs are protecting it. They're isolating the DC jack from the rest of the board. But why would, when you plug in the charger, it shorts out, right? Well, what's going on is those MOSFETs are turning on momentarily, and then whatever's shorted just immediately just shuts it off. So, so we're going to measure here. There's no short there. Past these inductors, no short there. On the other side of these MOSFETs, no short there. That's very common. So you're going to have this entire area, you're not going to have any short. Now this is the next stage. Once you get past those MOSFETs, this area right here should have a short, and it does. And what is our short? It's a 3.91 ohm short, okay? And so by reading the ohms, I can tell you what area of the board is shorted. But you guys haven't voted all yet, so I can't reveal it yet. But I can tell you what most likely the issue is, and I can tell you that most likely it's bad news. But if we move forward a little bit here, yeah, JFix, do you know what the 3.9 ohm? Yeah, you're crying. Okay. Yeah, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the power management IC, so power management controller IC. What this does is it is what's controlling these chips, monitoring these current sense resistors, and then also handles the charging of the battery. So here's our battery connector. This is our battery charge coil, and these are our the MOSFETs that produce the charging power rail. A lot of times, you know, this thing can protect everything, but if we're getting a short immediately, that means that I bet these MOSFETs are shorted. Let's see. See how this protection doesn't really work if it ends up being shorted? So these first pair is actually shorted on. So a lot of people will use this term shorted, right? And you think it's just like shorted to ground. Well, this MOSFET acts as a switch. You got 4 lines in, 3 legs out, and you have an on and off switch. Boom, 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 boom. That turns it on and off. Well, when this thing's not on, we should get no current flow across here. But right now I'm getting a, looks like it's basically a wire. So this thing is stuck on, or one of those are, and because they're in parallel. So protection failed. But a lot of times what happens is because there's a short on the main board and you're plugging in, or on the main power rail, and when you plug in that charger enough times, it ends up damaging those in a way. So that's why once this happens, you kind of want to stop plugging in the charger. So we only have we're at 50-50 for whether it's a bad CPU or not. And that is basically like my 25-cent quarter that we flipped the other week, right? What we're going to do. Stop vote, please. Okay, we'll stop the vote. It's good enough. Okay. So let me pull out this board because that's what we have to do next. And so now that the vote's over, 50-50 chance. So now that we've read what the ohms rating was on the short itself, the resistance on the CPU on this motherboard is going to be closer to between like 2 and 4 ohms, okay? The resistance on the GPU on this machine would be somewhere around like 0.2 to 0.4 or something ohms. So when we measured the short on the main power rail, we were measuring 3.92 or something like that ohms. So that's within the same range of a MOSFET on the CPU being shorted. And so why that matters is the CPU actually operates on a right around like 0.7 to like 1.2 volts or something like that. Well, the main power rail is like 20 volts. And so what it does is it takes that 20 volts and it pulses it down or creates a lower voltage but a higher current to run the CPU. And if one of those MOSFETs that are actually supposed to be reducing the voltage is shorted like a wire, it's basically sending that 20 volts straight through the CPU and killing it. So it could be bad news. I've seen maybe one of these survive this type of situation, but I don't know. We're just going to get this thing taken apart and we'll do our measurements. We will use voltage injection, yes. We will use the thermal camera, yes. And because I know everyone likes that. Oh, if the short on the component elsewhere, chipset, you generally see those shorts to ground. Well, it depends. So well, everything kind of is shorting to ground. It's trying to find a path to ground. But we're talking about because I'm measuring from ground as my reference. And so we are trying to figure out what ohms rating it is to ground. And so, like, if something is, if the chipset should be right around, like, kind of better way of thinking about it is the chipset should be like, what, 40 ohms, I think? And the VRAM, depending on what type of RAM it is, will be 30 ohms to 60 ohms. Like I said, the CPU is like 2 to 4 ohms. And so you know what those things are rated. So if you have one power rail that's supposed to be in the mega ohms, like the main power rail should be in the mega ohms, and then, but it's measuring something low, and then you can just find the power rail that's actually tied to it. So it's basically tying one power rail to another, and that's how you kind of figure out, like, oh, what's going on there. You can use freeze spray. Yeah, you can use freeze spray if you don't have a thermal camera, but that's like if you're trying to isolate a little capacitor. David, thank you for the donation. Any donation to this stream is going to go to this guy's repair and then whoever else we work on. Because we go crazy sometimes on how many laptops we end up working on. The short killer. And I have links to all these shirts down there below, the I Probe Aliens. I actually, when I was coming up with the shirt, I was like, I went around the office and I was like, hey, what do you think of this shirt? And every single person cracked up. And then I told some people and they're like, what do you mean by that? So I guess you have to, it's kind of an inside joke if you don't know what probes are. Time to get the fluoro out. Yes, I will be getting the thermal camera out in a moment. Time to unscrew screws, which is like watching paint dry. That's why I'm trying to at least fill the space while reading here. Nothing I hate more than watching a stream where nobody talks. Easy way to find leaky electrolytic capacitors. I don't know. I always see bulgy ones. But I don't see them on these as much. There's not that many electrolytic capacitors on these anymore. We got the tantalums, which is kind of close. Oh my gosh. Oh, I want to tell you about this. Whew. This laptop came in 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. And the customer had actually sent a note. He was like, well, I made a big mistake. I was taking apart my laptop. I went to Micro Center and I said, hey, I want to, I want to redo my thermal paste. And so he has like an older Alienware. And so, you know what Micro Center sold him? What kind of thermal paste he got? Liquid metal. So Micro Center said, oh yeah, this is the best thermal paste there is. And so he goes home, takes apart his laptop that doesn't even know what liquid metal is, because it was made, in 2017 or somewhere around there, and proceeds to put liquid metal on his laptop with no dam, because liquid metals, basically it's a highly conductive, but it transfers thermals very well. And you're supposed to have like a dam that goes around the CPU die or core, and then you just put it on there and it stays, and you put very little. Well, he put a lot on there, and then it was like, it was a horror show. It was just like splattered all over the board everywhere, and I actually set that one aside, and I was like, oh, that note sounds, sounds like an interesting repair. I'll go do a video on it. And then my other technician had grabbed it and took it apart already, and so we didn't get to do a video on it. But I helped him clean the rest of the liquid metal off, though. We ended up putting it through the ultrasonic cleaner a couple cycles, did alcohol baths a couple more cycles, blew it with compressed air, and the board turned on. And it worked, except it's getting video artifacting on the GPU. So there was so much liquid metal around the GPU, so I think probably underneath the VRAM there's some liquid metal still, so I may have to pull those off, re-clean them, and put the VRAM back on, or he might just live with it. I don't know. He may not care. He's just like, I'm glad you saved the board in general. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. Yeah, everyone... Oh, we're missing a screw. We're missing a screw in the heatsink. I hate liquid metal. You've seen so many of my videos. I have a video coming up where the customer did put liquid metal on theirs, but they at least put a dam on it. And it was an older machine, too, that doesn't even know what liquid metal is. And, I mean, I don't know if that's the cause of their issue, but I wasn't able to fix it, so that's just the way it is sometimes. Yeah, so I have, you're talking about using like mats and mods to test the GPU. The problem I'm having with that, because I actually have a bootable hard drive that's already set up with that, or a SSD that's set up with mats and mods, but it needs to have legacy boot, which doesn't work, so then I have to run the commands, and I've been having issues trying to get that thing to work right, to tell me which one it is, but I'm going to experiment with it more. Let me experiment with, whoa, I just noticed we have 1,645 people in the stream right now. That's a record. I think the best we've had is about 1,000, so welcome, guys. If you haven't been here before, I basically work on motherboard Dell laptops and Alienware laptops live. I fix the boards, or I try to fix the boards at least, but I let people vote on it, figure out what machine they want to work on. I don't look at them ahead of time, so I just kind of wing it as I go, and that's what we do. All right, so we have the board taken out here. Let me get the thermal camera set up because we're going to try to figure out what is going on and what's getting hot. So let me get that turned on. I usually set this up ahead of time, and I forgot to do that. So give me a second. All right, let's see if it's going to fly. Oh, great. It's not working right. Just what I like. My favorite. Let me reboot this program. So basically, I have a casting software that casts my the screen over to the laptop or to OBS, and for some reason, it is glitching like crazy. And when that happens, I have to kind of reboot the casting software. So give me a second with that. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. And let's see. Is it going to work this time? And so the infrared or the thermal camera I use is going to be a Flare 1 Pro, and it's actually not even made for what I'm using it for. I returned my P2 Pro or whatever it was today, actually, because I bought one of those, and I thought it was one of the worst for what I'm doing. Right? I thought it was not adequate. I know people really like that one, but this one, what I like is it actually has 2 cameras. So if I show you, let's see if I can switch cameras here. So here's just the individual camera that's on here that's taking a picture of the board at the same time, and then here's just the infrared. So if we look at that's just infrared, but you can't really see what we're looking at, right? But then if you do the overlay of both cameras together, then you get the outline of the motherboard and what's getting hot at the same time. That's why I really like this setup. So what we're going to do when we do a thermal camera is we end up injecting voltage into the board. But what we want to be paying attention to is the CPU and GPU, because I know that this is where we were measuring. Actually, we can just measure. We'll cut to the chase. We have our meter on ohms mode again, or continuity mode, and I'm going to measure the coils. This is the CPU right here. I'm going to measure the coils here. And the coils will always beep, but we want to see if it's the same measurement. 3.62, 3.60. And if we measure the main power rail, which is right here, 3.70, 3.65, it's about the same, right? So if I measure the main power rail to that coil, it's almost zero. See that? So basically you can see that one of these MOSFETs are shorted on, and we might be able to identify which one it is. I don't know, maybe. Let's see. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power stages, and so all of these are tied together. You can see the output coils. These all go and power the CPU. Oh, I hate these reflections. Let's see if I can tilt this. So I'm trying to get the view better. Whenever it reflects too much, it ends up dimming the camera. Okay, so but the output of these, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 together are tied the same output. This one's on its own. You can see that this trace is different. But the output right here are all tied together. So it means that 1, 2, 3, or 4 is going to be shorted. One of those are. We don't know which one because they're all in parallel. And we will inject voltage just a little bit on the main power rail, and we'll see what's actually getting hot, and then which should be the CPU. And then we will, I'll show you how to figure out which one of those MOSFETs it is. And so we will get our short killer out. You can see on the corner here. And so whenever we're going to inject voltage into a board, you want to be wary of what you're injecting onto. Oh, let's do a poll. Should we? Let's do a poll on which one it's going to be. We'll do that just for fun. So we got PL1, PL2, or PLI 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me do that real quick, and then you guys can vote. And this is just a little more interaction, right? All right. Okay, so I pull a poll up there. So all you're doing is just kind of a guess. It's not like it really is anything real, right? Here, I'll put you on the thermal camera so you can see it. I mean, on the regular microscope camera. So PL1, 2, 3, and 4. We don't know which one it is. You can look at them. Some of this stuff looks a little oozy. We can get a little closer if you want to get your better inspection ahead of time. So right around there. So there's PL4 or PLI4. And then there's 3. And that's just like some gooey stuff on top. There's 2. And there's 1. Okay, which one is it going to be? So I found that a lot of times the middle one is it, but then I've also seen a slew of them would be the first one too. So who knows? I don't know. It's all a guess. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So we're going to inject voltage. So whenever we're injecting voltage into a board, we want to be wary of how much voltage we're going to inject. Since we know that the CPU is going to be in line of this short, we don't want to go over, I usually don't go over 1 volt. Because the short is so low anyway, well, it's actually not that low. It's at, what, 4 ohms? So we can actually go a little higher. We can go like 0.8. 0.8 volts would give us fairly, I don't even know if it's going to hit an amp or not, but I'm going to put one side of the probe on ground, and then we will do the other side, and we'll just do the main power rail, which is right here. And so we're not even pulling an amp. But I just want to see if we are getting a little heat on the CPU. And I can see it heating up. Now, the edge of the CPU, that's just a reflection. So I'm going to up this voltage just a little bit. There we go. Now we're at 1 volt, and that's about the most I usually go. And let's see if I can get these reflections taken care of here. I'm going to turn down the brightness of my microscope. Okay, let's see. See if that fixes the reflections. There you go. So you can see the CPU heating up right there on the edge. So I'm going to take it off. And then I'm going to put it back on. CPU is heating up, okay? So we know that one of those MOSFETs is actually the problem. Now we don't know which one, and if we're kind of looking, maybe you can guess which one it is. Maybe I'm thinking it's this one. I'm not 100% sure. Let me move my probe down here to a different main power rail area. Maybe it's heating up in this area a little bit. But it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell. And the only way to really get that MOSFET heating up is to bypass the CPU, because the CPU has like 4 ohms, and in order to get enough current to go through that, or enough watts to go through that to make it hot enough, we will need to up the voltage, which will be dangerous. And so I've seen some people go, oh, well, we can put 1.5 volts in there, or I'll put 1.8 volts in there, it's fine. I'm like, no, you probably blew out the CPU. At this point, we're stopping at 1 volt, but all we have to do is we just need to bypass the CPU in general, right? So we have our ground. Right now I have the ground plane, or a ground probe. Here, let me zoom out a little bit. I have the ground probe hooked to the ground, right? Or the negative of the voltage injection. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to take this, and instead of allowing the voltage or the current to go through this coil and then through the CPU back to ground, we're just going to hit the back side of it. So that way it will go straight through the MOSFET, straight to that. And then we can actually bring down our voltage all the way down to like 0.4. We don't need much at all for this. So I will show you that right now. So I'm just going to choose one of these. It doesn't really matter which one I put it on the back of. And then we are going to tap the main power rail. Get ready. Yeah, shorting the coils, I found shorting the coils to ground doesn't work as well because it has to go through that other wire, so you still have that resistance. So this is the easiest way for me. So like it pulled 5 amps immediately, and what is getting hot? I don't know, because I can't see. For some reason the picture's all blurred out there. I think it's reflection. So let me tilt this a little bit more, or change the direction here. There we go. All right, let me adjust it. We'll try it again. 3, 2, 1. And I think it's the 4th one. So number 2, yeah. PL2, is that what we guessed? I think it's this one right here. Does it have any evidence? Where's my tweezers at? Yeah, I think it's PL2. And see how you can't even tell? Sometimes you can see some discoloration, or you'll see this coil being a different color or something like that. Because what will end up happening is these will all be working, this one won't work, and you'll have some backfeeding going on. This will end up getting hot. But I think it's that one. We can put, I don't know if putting alcohol on it's going to work in general, because I don't know if we have enough current, but we can try it. So I'm just going to put some alcohol across these, and then we will inject voltage again and see if it actually evaporates, but we will see. All right, you ready? Here we go. You could see this bubbling a little bit. It's not evaporating fast, but you can see the alcohol just kind of moving a little bit. So I am on board with it being PL2. So that's what we're going to remove, and then that should resolve the short. Now, whether the CPU is good or not, I don't know. But what I like to say is that we followed the proper precautions, and we did not cause any more damage, right? besides us plugging it in right when we got it. But we didn't know, right? I didn't get the memo on that one. It didn't have a note saying short AC adapter. So, so let's get that one removed, and that will only take a couple minutes. And I have brand new, whatever they are, 8694s or something like that. Yeah, 8694s. So I have brand new ones. So we're going to remove this one. Let's do it. So we will put our fume extractor in. We're going to heat our hot air station up, and we're going to do 450 degrees at 60% air. Tim, you need larger shirts? I think he has the XX large, right? I don't know if that's... I can usually... I think that's the biggest option, whatever they have on there, but I can check into it if you need me to. My Flirt camera, I can't get it to hook to a laptop. That's been my biggest pet peeves. That's why I have to use it on a cell phone, and then I cast the cell phone over to the laptop. I bought that P2 Pro because it had desktop software, and I could never get it to work on the desktop, and then the quality wasn't as good because it only had one lens, and it was trying to infer what the lines were versus having the two cameras, so that's why I kind of like that. All right, so we have this one removed. That only took a couple seconds. And no flux desoldering, yeah, I didn't even worry about it. I could have, but these boards aren't like super thick, and so a lot of times whenever I'm trying to get something off that's really thick and I'm trying to get the solder to flow, then that's what I'll have to do. But on this, you see how quick it was? I didn't even have to do it that long. Let's check to see if the short is gone. You want to test the ohms of the MOSFET? I don't really know the layout of these. This is the bottom side. I don't really understand, or I haven't kind of figured it out. I mean, you got the input, the output, but I bet these are shorted, so we can just kind of check that, I guess. So that's saying 163 ohms. But so let's see. If I measure this edge to there, it's shorted. If I measure this to there, it's 160 ohms. Like I said, I don't really know how that one works, but let's check the main power rail and see if the short is gone. And the short is gone. Measuring right there. We can measure back over there where the DC jack is. That way we can really confirm. So if we're back over to where the DC jack plugs in, you remember these 4 or 5 pins where the 20 volts coming in, going through these pair of MOSFETs, then coming out of those MOSFETs, and then we're going to measure right here. And we did have a short here, and now we don't have a short here. So we did resolve the issue, and it's funny because at this point you could actually start the machine up if the CPU survived. But we do have new MOSFETs we can install, and that's what I'm going to do next. So let me grab it. It's an 8694, and I do have some of those. And so here's my box, my magical box. I don't have a Soren box. That's what I need. This is kind of the closest thing I have to Soren box. So this right here, if y'all aren't familiar, so Soren has another channel, and he has this box where he goes and gets all his brand new chips, and it's just kind of like he throws chips in here. So the way I have it set up right here is all the chips I remove that are bad, I put on this side, and all the chips that I think are still good, I put on this side. So this is my box, and right now I don't have that many over here, and I need to throw all those away. So that's just my method. And so whenever I pull chips off, I always set the bad ones on this side, and then when I'm pulling donors, I always set them on this side. So that way I can kind of keep track of, you know, good versus evil. Let me find those. I know I have some of these somewhere. I think these are them. CPU is good. We got 40%. Oh, 40% actually thought it was PL3. Well, we can stop that now. We figured that out. So PL2 was the bad one. Let's see if these are the right ones. 8694s. There we go. Let's see. Oh, right, did the CPU, thank you. I wish, JFix, I wish that these mods, like, I don't know, can I make you be able to create polls? I don't know. Let me see. If I change, let me see if I can change you to, I have you as a standard mod. Let me change you to the managing mod. Okay, let's see what that one does. Does that give you the right to be able to create polls? Because that would be nice if I had someone creating polls for me. Okay, I put the poll up anyway while you're looking into that. And so we were going to grab one of these guys out of here. Managing mods cannot. Yeah, that's stupid. All right, let me just give you my login to my YouTube account, and then you could take care of that for me. Hello from Brazil. Welcome. JFix, I just realized, isn't it like 2 in the morning or almost 3 in the morning there? When do you sleep? Dave, I can up your, oh, it's only 1, okay. Dave, I'm gonna switch you to the higher end mod too. I don't know what the other mod does, but it's called a managing mod. We'll see what that does. Okay, so where are we at? Where are we at? Okay, so we have our new little guy here. The orientation is this way. You can see the words this way, but we also have the dot in the corner. Sorry, let me get this lined up. Hey, I fixed my squeaking on my microscope. Just oiled it. So this dot here is pin 1, and then that dot there is pin 1. And this is the orientation it's going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and put some fresh new solder on there. So let me do that. I'm going to preheat the board a little bit first. I think the CPU will be fine. Out of all these that I've worked on that I've changed this out on, I think I've had it be fine on a couple. But if it's shorting the AC adapter, that's whenever I usually say, no, it's not fine. But yeah, JFix is in the UK somewhere. I think it's in England or something, right? Ireland. I love Ireland. Welcome, Irish outsider. So I'm just preheating the board a little bit, then I'm going to add some flux, and then we're going to put some fresh solder on there. So the solder that's on these boards are going to be lead-free, and so it melts at like 220 degrees, and I'm going to put some 183 degree solder on there. So I generally don't even remove the old stuff. That's just the way I am, but I just kind of add more to it, and that's usually good enough. But you can do whatever you want. Look at that big old solder blob that you just got there. You guys see that? This is how you can tell a professional's working on this. Look at that huge solder blob. And my soldering iron does not want to pick it up. You see how I just added flux and then it went away? That's perfect. Okay. So let's, I just want to make sure we have it good. Just going to even it up here. All right, that's fine. It's good enough. Where's our new chip at? So we need to 10 our new chip also. And when I say new chip, this is going to be some chip that is, I've bought these from AliExpress, so we'll see how legit they are. I like to buy from Mouser when I can, or DigiKey, but they don't have these. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put some fresh solder on this, tin it so we have enough solder on both sides. And look at all that dirty stuff coming off my soldering iron. I'm going to clean my tip again. What the flux? Yeah, I'm going to make a shirt that says that. That's what the flux? That's a good one. Okay, will the CPU survive? 69% says yes. You guys are so optimistic about these Ryzen boards after me telling you how I hate these boards and I think they all fail and that I don't trust them. But if it's fine, if it's good, then we have a little bit more faith in humanity, right? All right, so that's good enough. So we got to go back in orientation. So pin 1, this direction. So that's which way it's going to go. It's funny, I lubricated my microscope, so all the axes going up and down, the focuser and everything, and now it moves so easy that I can't even keep it, I'm not used to it. All right, so I'm going to preheat the board again. We're going to wait until the solder starts to kind of flow. You can see it kind of gets shiny. And once it becomes shiny, then I'll come in with the chip. I don't want to put the chip on there until the board is ready. Otherwise, we're going to have, overheating the chip and things like that. So you can see the solder starting to get shiny there. Wait till this other end. There we go. And that's ready, so I can move it away. We'll come in here, set it back down, pack it into place. I'm going to add just a little bit more flux that allows the solder to flow. Ooh, look at that. That's some Rossmann style flux. Put so much on there. And we're just going to get it where to sit down properly. And we have solder balls coming out. That's fine. I'm going to hold it down. We're going to squeeze out any excess solder underneath. Solder. Remember, I'm not good at saying that. Solder. It's hard for me to say that L. And we're going to just wick up any of this extra stuff here. There we go. And then I just want to check this other edge because I can't tell if I got that side good. I don't know. Looks kind of ugly. Let me clean it up. Let's clean it and see if it looks better. Looks like an amateur job. But this is what you get whenever you want someone to perform on demand, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just using isopropyl alcohol, a toothbrush. I kind of layer it in and then put this through or do it through this chem pad, and then that will pick up any of the extra flux. And usually it's pretty good at making it look like nothing has happened. There we go. Looks better. Yeah, I think we're okay. All right. Well, did the CPU survive? Let's see if the short's gone. We'll do that one more time. And then we will reinstall the board and see if it actually turns on. So we're in continuity mode, right? Let's test the main power rail again, which was right there, and open line. If we actually measure, we're getting 1.5 kilo ohms, something like that, 1.5 K. So that is fine. Okay, so the short's gone. Will it turn on? That's going to be the question. But let's clean off all this old solder paste, thermal paste. All right, so everyone casted their vote on this. Did the CPU survive? 68%. And I only have 231 votes, but I have 2,500 people on the stream, and we only have 231 votes. This is crazy. Okay. So, yeah, we must have a lot of bots here tonight. 2,500. That's a record for sure. That is a record. So I'm just going to kind of break this stuff up a little bit. This thermal paste started to turn into clay almost. Feels like. So I'm just kind of breaking it up to get it off of here. Okay. You voted 821 people. Yeah, I got 273 votes on here. I mean, my stream's saying 2,500 people. Maybe, is that other stream still going? Maybe it's a short stream that's still going, even though I shut that off, I thought. That's interesting. Oh, it's views I'm looking at. That's funny. Concurrent view. I was looking at the wrong number. So it's 823 people is the concurrent viewers. Sorry. My bad. All right. CPU. Well, thank you for correcting me on that. Now I really feel like an idiot, but I'm okay with that. It's okay to be wrong. Is that correct? I believe so. I think that's how you learn. It's by failing. I heard this great thing, parenting advice. I have kids, and so I'm always thinking about how to parent better. And one of the things that you should ask your kids every single day is, what did you fail at today? Because that allows them to know that it's okay to fail, and by failing, you will succeed. Because if you never fail at anything, you will never succeed. That's how that works. So I'm just going to put some regular Arctic silver on here. Nothing fancy while we're testing here. So we'll do the X in the line. And this goes this way. Hello from China. All the way from China. Okay, we are getting this screwed together. So, you know, if this thing survives, I'm going to be very happy. I'm going to be very surprised. I wish, you know, at some point it would be nice to be able to be like, okay, cool, well, CPU is bad, let's just go ahead and change out the CPU and go through that whole process, but I'm not feeling it. Whenever you're thinking about trying to do something as complex as reballing a CPU and replacing it, you gotta have to think about the time that's going to be spent. You know, and these boards are rare, so they're going to be, might be worth it. But then you have to get a good CPU, and if all these are failing, then how are you going to get a good CPU? Hello from Algeria. Thank you for watching. Okay, CPU heatsink, thermal paste is on there, fans being plugged in. The short is gone. Will it turn on? So we were successful in finding the short, replacing the burnt MOSFET on the GPU, on the CPU. But if it sent the full 20 volts through the CPU, which is the Ryzen chip that fails all the time, then it probably did not survive. Okay. Yeah, I really find it interesting. I like that people from all around the world are actually tuning in and finding some sort of value from these streams I'm putting out. I think there's an issue with this audio jack plug. Let me show you. I'm trying to plug this in, and it doesn't want to go in. And whenever, I don't want to push it too hard, but whenever you feel it doing that, it means we have a bent pin in there. So let me screw this board in, and we can take a look inside of there. It's not important right now anyway, but a lot of times, you know, if you put it in sideways, you'll have a pin that just bends over. I left the solder balls between the two nearest caps. Oh. I got it off. I thought I got it off. I mean, most likely, thank you, I'll put some RAM in there. Most likely, they're on the same side anyway, so it's not going to matter if it is bridged, but I thought I cleared that off. I have no way of rewinding and looking, so you guys can look at that and tell me if it looks good, but I'm just going to do 1 stick of RAM. I got motherboard screws, got power. Okay, so I think we're ready. Good enough. Good enough, club. Is it okay? I mean, should I take this back out? Did someone check to make sure you know, the solder's on the same side of the capacitors or whatever it is? Should I plug this in, or should I pull the board back out and check that? You guys can rewind and look. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to say it's okay because you guys are saying it's okay. Do a poll. I just need a couple people to go look, rewind for a second, make sure that everything looks good. The MOSFET looks fine, I know, because I looked at all that. It's just someone was saying that I left some stuff on the capacitors right there. So, I mean, if it's a little bit on the capacitor, it's fine. I got RAM in there. Got 1 stick. Magic smoke. Let's go. We also checked that there's no short on the main power rail, so we know the short's gone. All right, so pay attention to the power meter. What we're looking for is going to be 0.01, 0.02. We got 0.08, then 0.04, and then it should go down to 0.02. Why are we staying at 0.04? That's a little high. And we open the lid, and it's turning on. I hear the fans blowing. I just got a keyboard backlight. We got 1 amp being pulled through there. But staying at 1 amp, which is usually a bad CPU, but we'll let it sit here if it gets past this. So eventually we're going to get a light code that's going to be a 2-1. It's going to be 2 red, 1 blue. Fans are spinning up again, but still staying at 1 amp. So it's not moving around at all. This should actually be jumping up to like almost 2 amps, then going back down to 1 amp, then going to 2.5. But the fact that it's just sitting there at 1 amp is no bueno. But we will pull the board back out and take a look if I did something wrong, but I don't see. I'm going to stop this vote real quick because the CPU survived. 70% of the people said that it survived, but right now it's not looking good. We need to get 2 amps, and it's just staying at 1 amp. Yeah, this isn't RAM training. If it was like doing a CMOS reset or doing its memory trading at the start, oh! It's up to 2 amps, 2.5. I don't have the battery plugged in, so that's not current for the battery. So that's really good. Well, that's crazy that went up to that for a second. It was already at 2.5 amps and I missed it? Okay, well then I'm not so happy. We'll let it sit here for a little bit, and yeah, because it should be... Alienware screen, boom, wow. Look at that, haha, it survived. Okay, well we're gonna add that notch on our belt on that one because that's crazy. We were having a short right through the CPU and it survived. All right, I take it back. I take it back. Yeah, it was reflashing the EC chip. That's what it was doing. But because it was sitting there at 1 amp for so long, that's kind of a weird one. That's crazy. Okay, I'm going to go into diagnostics and we'll run a full diagnostic on it. I don't have the battery plugged in, and I don't have an SSD, so it's going to ask me. Keyboard, wait, that should be working. Why is that not working? Okay. That's cool, man. Yeah, I missed it a couple times. Yeah, when I look up at chat, you know, it's hard to multitask. So, I'm going to let it run through all these tests real quick and see if it actually doesn't have any other issues. Battery's not plugged in, so that's fine. Now it's going to test the fan, and then we'll do a CPU test after that. Yeah, so the EC chip on these machines, so there's multiple types of machines that have EC chips that are one-time programmed, and they only get programmed whenever you flash the BIOS. And those are ones that the system will end up being bricked if it loses its program or gets corrupted. But then on the machines where you plug in the power and the machines come on automatically, those are ones where the EC chip is cleared when you unplug all the power from the system. So it's like clearing its memory in a way or whatever, its flash. And then when you plug it back in, there's a region on the BIOS chip that actually rewrites the EC chip. And so that's what that's whenever the EC chip gets rewritten. So a 3.1 is good. That's a CMOS reset. It's just telling you, hey, the real-time clock has been reset, and that's fine. So when I turn it off and turn it back on, that will be gone the next time. So anytime you see a 3.1, that's good. That's a good thing. Well, thank you. Great answer on the EC chip. Yeah, and it's funny because it took me a long time to actually figure out, oh, that's exactly what's happening here. I was testing the memory right now. And then we're going to go on to the next machine. We got through this in 58 minutes, or even less time, 45 minutes, because we started the stream, or started working on this about 15 minutes after the stream started. So that was pretty quick on that one. So I'm going to grab another machine, and our second place machine was I'm going to scroll back up and see if it's in here. I don't know what it is. What was the second place machine? M17R3. M17R3, it doesn't turn on. And I also have an X15 something over here too. It's funny because like right before the stream started, I'm like, okay, what machines are motherboard repairs? I have like 50 laptops in the queue right now, so I'm like, okay. Not all of them are motherboard repairs, obviously. Only certain ones end up being motherboard repairs. Snapdragon time. What are we talking about Snapdragon? Last week we had the Snapdragon that we were going to work on, but nobody wanted to work on it. Or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I'm just going to let that run, and then we're going to grab the other machine, and we can start looking at the notes on that one. Oh, the audio pin. Right. Yeah, we need to fix the audio pin. Yeah, you're right. Let's do the audio pin next. And it really pays to have a microscope when you're fixing these pins on these things, because there's been so many machines that I've had sent in that like one of the fan pins are bent over, or some jack plug or whatever, but you have to look at it through a microscope, and you have to use fine tip tweezers in order to bend it over. 4 seconds left, and cool. The only errors that we have here is the battery not installed and the SSD not installed, or hard drive is how it writes it on the screen here. And if we go to health, everything, the CPU is within range, the GPU is within range. So I saved another laptop. If you guys like me saying that, right? So that one's fixed. Oh, right, we're going to do the audio pin. So now we're going to do the audio pin, and let me see if I can get in position to do that. So we're going to look at this. So I'm going to try to go right down the edge here. Right here. Aha! Here, it's hard to get in position. There we go. Oh, it's 2 pins. Look at that. Can everyone see that? So let me get my tweezers. I think I need ones with the hook ends on it. Okay, so this is the jack that the speakers plug into, so it's not going to have a lot of voltage on it or anything. So the best way to do this is I'm just leaning this a little bit, and I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it, but I just want to try to bring it back up to center and just lean this just slightly with it overextend it just a little bit. So that one looks pretty good. So now we're going to get this end one. The end ones are always harder. And so this one's bent. It actually has a curl in it. And so we have to try to somehow straighten it out. And so I just kind of squeeze it and bend it like that. There we go. We straightened it perfectly. And then lean that over. And there we go. Bring that one back just a little bit. You could tell I've done this enough. I've probably fixed, I don't know, 100 of these types of plugs. And so now, can we plug this in? Oh, and another way to check to see if you have issues with your jack, but you can't see inside of here because you don't have a microscope, you can just look at the end of your plug and you'll see that it has just kind of some mar marks there, and you know that's having issues. All right, we're going to see if it slides in. Get in your home. Boom, it's in. And so now it's all the way plugged in. Speakers should work just fine. You guys want me to boot it up to test the speakers? Do you want me to prove it? Or are we good? Yeah, you can use your phone kind of as a microscope. I did that a long time ago. I actually had it like on a boom arm and you zoom in. Input MOSFETs, right. Man, you guys are keeping me honest. I totally forgot about that. So we're going to have to replace these input MOSFETs. Why do we have to do that? It's because these are shorted. This one is, or that one is. Yeah, so this one or this one's shorted. But you see how the board turned on? And so most technicians would have said it's all good. Well, I just forgot about it myself, but I know it's there. I would have figured it out because it can't charge the battery whenever it's like that because the, sorry, I don't have this on here, sorry. So I just measured these, by the way, right here, and I can see that these are shorted. But the power management chip is going to detect that there's a short on there and it won't charge the battery. But the machine will still come on because it's shorted and it's just turning on. So we're going to replace one of those. We don't know which one it is yet. So which one's going to win the raffle, I don't know. But we're going to pull one off and then see if it's shorted, and we'll pull the other one off and see if it's shorted. And if the first one wins, then we can just replace that one. Plug in the battery. You want me to plug in the battery? You want me to show you? Yeah, let me just show you what I mean, because when I talk through stuff or try to explain it, sometimes it doesn't get through. So let me just show you that the battery's not charging. I know the battery's not charging unless this is magically thinking it's okay. And then we'll change that out. And then I'll show you that it does work. I got solder paste all over my hand. I mean, thermal paste all over my fingers. I hate it. So we plug this in. Power meter. Hey, it's charging. Weird. So eat my shorts on that one. But see, it's going to pre-charge current. It's going up to 0.25, and then it's going to jump up to an amp or two and start charging. Now, that doesn't mean anything. The floor camera's not going to show me anything. I mean, I can show you what it's going to show you, but it's not going to show you that those are shorted because they're not shorted like where there's like current, or it shouldn't be hot here. So this is the charge MOSFET. Okay, these are the second set of MOSFETs that are getting hot, but the first set aren't very hot. Oh, well, maybe this one's hotter than the other one. Maybe that one's hotter. So it's one of these two. The second set are actually hotter. There's the power management chip over here. Interesting. I mean, we could actually guess to see, because this one's a little wider, that maybe that's the one that's shorted. But to me, it doesn't really, I don't know. I usually just take it off and try it. But yeah, I think it is charging the battery. But we're going to get into diagnostics, and I can take a look here. Reflection angle, it might be the reflection angle. Sorry, I had the machine on, so I'm just like, I don't want to have it upside down for too long when I'm trying to boot it up. Okay, it's up to 4 amps now. And we have the Alienware screen. Let's go to the diagnostics. I'm going to cancel out of that. I just want to see the current flow going into the battery. Now on the other machines, the older machines, they would not charge. And this one is showing it's charging. You can see that we have 2 amps going into the battery. So it still is charging. It would have been missed really easily. I still think we should change it out just because that's the right thing to do. Because we know that they're shorted. But apparently the thing's going to work just fine. The flash code is going to be a 3.1 because we just reset the CMOS battery. Or we had the battery unplugged. All right, let me pull this battery back out, and then we will... Irish? Yeah, I know it's 1:30 in the morning. You know, at some point I'm going to do an earlier stream. I haven't really figured out a good time because I always do it right after our office closes at 6 p.m. Central here. And it's really the best time for me to be able to do it. So, maybe I'll do one of those weekend streams like Soren does in the morning. But I appreciate you coming to the stream here. So let's replace this. I'm going to pull the board out to do it actually. Because I don't want to heat up anything. It should be fine to do it with it installed, but it's not that many screws to do it the right way. What do you want me to measure again? Whether it's shorted or not? Yeah, it's still showing shorted on. The MOSFET's showing shorted on. It's not shorted to ground. It's just shorted on, like a wire, you know. So when we change out that MOSFET, we just want to make it where it turns off, and it will protect the board in the future. So right now it wasn't protecting the board because it wasn't shutting off. So we don't know which one. And so we're just going to take one off. I don't know which one yet. What's the hardest repair I've ever done? Well, the repairs that are really, really weird that I feel like should work and then they don't, those are the ones that are, you know, hard. So I had one that I fixed today, was that one that I was talking about from last week, and it ended up just being a GPU issue. That I had to reflow the GPU, but a lot of these are like, I can't figure out why this power rail is not coming up or something like that. I have all the signals, I've replaced all these chips, or if I'm not getting video, no video issues are really the hardest. Check the solder ball too. Yeah, we'll do it all since we're out. You guys are keeping me honest for sure. Yeah, I ended up, on Wednesdays I try to get to work late, and I was not successful at getting to work late today. So I have been here for 12 hours right now. So I'm tired, but I'm going to try to stay attentive. I have my coffee, I've got some water. And so as long as you guys are keeping me honest, we'll do it. Okay, let me get this off. I wish someone was pushing the camera buttons for me too. And doing the polls. Man, I just need someone to run the whole thing for me, and I'll just do the work. So right now there's a lot of stiction with this new thermal paste I put on here. And so you kind of have to rock it back and forth. Hey, SS Trunk, thank you for the donation. That's going to go straight to this customer's repair. I will not keep a dime of it. All right, let's see. What is this? What is that stuff? So what did you want me to check right here? Oh, this little booger? It's like a booger. Yeah, it's a piece of flux. Is that it? Are we clean? Are we good? Although, I don't like this pin here. Let me show you which pin. I think I want to reflow that chip while I'm at it. Let me zoom in. You see this pin? Like, I'm fine with this solder ball here because sometimes it's hard to get in there to get that extra solder out, but this pin doesn't look like it has enough solder on it. And that's just the way it is sometimes. It's hard to get solder on there. And those all look okay. I can see it coming out the edge enough. But this one, I don't like how much is there. So I'm going to reflow this just to make sure that we have good contact. I mean, it did work. But while we're here, we might as well do it, right? The cap shifted a little, yeah. Oh my gosh, look, all this flux was squeezing out of this. Ugh. I don't want this much coming out of here, but it was because it was already oozing out. If I don't retract this a little bit, then it will keep oozing without me holding it down. Yeah, I don't know if there's any way to get any of my mods to be able to set up polls. I mean, we need to figure out, like, there may be some other system to use or something. I don't know. But it would be nice if somebody else was doing this on the side. All right, so I'm just looking at this pin here. We're going to reflow this. Okay, it's starting to move, so I'm just going to tap it a little bit. And we'll see if we can get some solder to come out of that little edge there. And I'm still not seeing any solder coming out of that pin. So I'm going to pull it. Oh, and it looks like it's all bridged right there. So it actually was connected just fine. There is, but we can add a little bit more since we're in there. But that whole corner was bridged anyway. Check the BIOS. Sometimes I feel like you guys are just saying words. You know, that's why I made the shirt that says test the flux capacitor, because I thought it was funny that if you don't know what you're talking about, you just say test something, right? All right, so that's enough on there. Gosh, this tip keeps getting blacked out. Okay. That's a mucho bettero. Oh yeah, if I put you as manager of my YouTube channel, then you should have access to be able to do it. But then you have access to everything. Recalibrate the multiplex demodulator. Oh, I like that. That's a good one. It's like technical words. So we'll reflow that one more time. Just tap, 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 tap. Trying to see that. There we go. And now it's sitting where it wants to be. And then I'm going to heat it up one more time with a little bit of pressure. We should get it to sit perfect. How is it not doing it still? There we go. Got it. You know, this corner still looks about the same, but I know that we have plenty of solder under there, so I'm not that worried about it now. And I'll do my best to see if I can pick up any of this extra stuff, though. I need a better tip, though. I don't feel like changing tips out. Reflow. Yep. Make up words. Okay. Okay, that's mucho bettero, yeah. Huh. You're you're actually disappointed you lifted it off again? Well, I want to make sure that it's good. All right, so does everything look pretty enough? Oh, look at that. How did that get on there? Where did that come from? Oh, I touched the thermal paste. Damn you. Damn you, thermal paste. Gotta clean my toothbrush. Get a new Kim pad. Okay, I think we're good on that. Okay, what else do I need to do? Oh yeah, well, we're gonna change out that MOSFET. But is everyone happy with this area? Oh, okay, and I'll verify we don't have a short on the main power rail again. No short on the main power rail, so I did fine. Yeah, this is my old toothbrush. I used it for 6 months, and then now I've used it for motherboard repair for 6 months. Just kidding. I'm going to put the heatsink back on. That way I don't get all this thermal paste everywhere. Wherever this went. All right. All right, so I'm not taking this heatsink back off, so everyone was happy with the way it looked right there, right? Okay, looking good. Looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. Happy little MOSFET. Like nothing ever happened. And we are surprised. 60 or 70% of you guys were correct anyway, that the CPU was going to survive. Whoa, got 50,000 somethings. Can Dell laptops use other brand WWAN card? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because it's just an M.2 slot. The caveat is that a WWAN laptop are very hard to get set up, so you want to buy one that's already WWAN capable and already has all the wires and everything like that. Dave is correct. That was a trading places, not spaces, but trading places. Trading Spaces was a TLC TV show where they made their bedrooms or living rooms like a god-awful, ugly mess. All right, so we're going to figure out which one this is. Which one's bad? Should we do a vote on that? Is it this one or this one? I don't know how I'm going to tell you which one's which. Change cameras. Okay. Is it this one or this one that's bad? Yeah, absolutely. Trading Places, yes. Yeah, Trading Spaces. That was a crazy show, though. Do you remember, like what they did to some of these people's rooms? And then they're like, this is like, you know, it's like a horror show. It's almost like they were trying to do something on purpose that was the worst thing ever. So let me just show you one more time that this is shorted. This one's shorted. They're in parallel. They're in parallel, so it means that we don't know which one is actually causing this reading. And so when we take one off, then we'll measure. We're going to take the other one off. So I'm just going to guess. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So I'm going to do this one. This is the one I think it is. And yeah, I'm putting flux in there. Look at that. I didn't do that earlier. I'm doing it just for you guys. So is that the one you think, right? So you guys are thinking it's this one? I'm seeing people. Okay. All right. Vote time. Uh-oh. Throwing keyboards. All right. So what's the number on it again? PQB, PQB12, PQB11. All right, so which MOSFET will it be? Which one will it be? This is PQB11. This is PQB12. You know it's going to be 50-50. That's the problem with those types of polls. Replace them both, yeah. That's really what we need to do. When I take one off, I just want to say which one is the cause. 57%. We're getting to this flipping of the coin here. I'm going to start taking it off, so you guys can vote all you want. So we need to be mindful of the DC jack, inlet jack here. I just put a little bit of Kapton tape on it. I'm blowing the air away from it. We also have a connector there I didn't even notice. Let me put some Kapton tape on that. Place your bets. Is it Santa's Little Helper, or is it going to be PQB number 2? Okay, let's blow the air away from that. So 56% says to take off this one, so that's what we're doing. Yeah, I've never seen them both being shorted, so I doubt that's what the case is. But the poll is pointing to this one being the culprit, so we're just going to take it off and see. Okay, it's moving. We're going to lift it off. And we can measure. So we're in continuity mode. Still shorted. Now it is hot, so that could be a false positive because that other one's still hot, but we can also just test this one. Look at all this thermal paste on my hands. Let me turn off the air. So we're in diode mode, and we're not shorted. So we measure this direction, we're getting 4.7 volt, 0.47 voltage drop. We measure that way, we're getting nothing, which is correct. If we take our probe and touch this pin, now it's going to turn the actual MOSFET on, and so now this will measure as a short, and it'll measure as a short, but we can take the black probe and touch this pin, and now it's turned back off. So this one's working just fine. So it was 12. It was the one I was thinking it was. But we'll replace them both anyway. Yeah, 12 was a little bit hotter, I thought, at least on the thermal camera. But you know, it's hard to tell on that thermal camera because it kind of gets you close, but it doesn't tell you exactly which one it was. All right, we'll take this one off, and then we can measure it. And don't call me Shirley. That's a reference from Airplane, by the way, guys. And hopefully nobody had the fish. I went and rewatched that probably last year. It's still crazy. It's just like the funniest, ridiculous movie. If you haven't seen Airplane, whew, you're missing out. Now, Airplane number 2, I can do without it. Roger, roger. All right, so here's the other one. We'll do our same type of testing. Oh yeah, the automatic pilot that blows up. The scene that always I keep thinking about is the one lady just keeps getting slapped, and then there's like this line of people slapping her, and then it's like a nun slapping her and child, and like, oh, it's like, snap out of it. Oh man, thank you so much for the donation. All right, so we're in diode mode again. So we're measuring across here. Now if we come and do this trick where we're touching that pin, see that one's measuring shorted. And if we flip it around, it's measuring shorted. And then this one's measuring shorted. So all the pins are shorted together. So this one is toast. But we're going to replace them both anyway. Oh yeah, trains, planes, and automobiles. I haven't seen that in a long time, so I can't even remember any references off of that. But John Candy was one of my favorites. One of the sleeper movies that you see John Candy in was Nothing But Trouble. Very terrible movie, but I always loved, I enjoyed watching it. Very weird movie. That's it. I think Dan Aykroyd directed that one. All right. Do I have any of these? That's the question. I don't think I do. Uncle Buck. I actually just watched that one recently with my daughter. And I think we're going to watch it with our other daughter. Because me and my younger, she's 12, 13, and we've been going through and trying to watch all the John Candy movies we can. So we watched Summer Rental, and then The Great Outdoors, and Uncle Buck, yeah. So those are the 3 that we watched recently. What's your Victor? Victor? I'm going to get a donor board because I don't have those MOSFETs. So this here is a donor board. The same one. What does it say? Oh. It says posts, but the GPU is dead. So this one just has a bad GPU. I'm going to keep this one around because I can always sell it to somebody if they want it. If they want one that doesn't have a GPU on it. Let's see, battery charging issues. I'm gonna find one that's like just trash. Yeah, a lot of these are not like catastrophic failures. Here's one. Okay. All right, we found one. Found one that has my patented scribbles on it. So whenever I deem a board like unrepairable and I stole parts off of it, I always just put a red marker on the CPU or GPU. So I don't know what's wrong with this one, but it has scribbles on it, so that means that I've stolen parts off of it already. Is this the same MOSFET? These are P21N03s, which I actually have some of those. And this one's a B01N03. I don't know the difference in those. We could look that up. Could someone kind of tell me what the difference is on those? They're probably the same. Maybe one has a little bit of a different resistance or something like that. Because these are just on-off. We're not doing any pulsing. We're not trying to reduce voltage. So I could probably just put some P21N03s, which I think I have. Yeah, see, I have some P21N03s right there. So I think that's what we could just put a pair of those on there, since this other board's using the same thing. The R is for rocket. So are they the same? Are they close enough? I mean, they're both probably, what, 30 volt, 80 amp. Or do I need to pull up the data sheet? I feel like someone else can pull up the data sheet for me. I'm already multitasking enough. So can I install these? The P channels, are they 30 volt, 80 amp? Do they match? All right. Wombat says it's a go. Go for launch. Mark says it too. He concurs. Laptop Fix says go to sleep. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put those on there. They should be the same. Usually what you'll find sometimes is I'll see the same board with different MOSFETs on it, different MOSFET numbers, and so it just really depends on what they wanted to use that day. So I see that all the time. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Here, I'll pull it back up for you, Dave. Old Dave-O. Wait, wrong board. So we have the P21N03 versus the B01N03R. P21N03, sorry. Yeah, it's all good. I think it is all good. Don't fret. Fet. You guys are funny. Oh. All right. Hopefully we're good. Okay. N channel 30 volt, 80 amp probably, right? So if it smells like a duck, that's a Soren thing. Soren will put whatever on there. He's like, ah, yes, that's a good looking N channel. We'll just put that N channel on there, but I want to at least make sure that it can handle it. So we'll grab a pair of these off of here. Boom. And we're going to pre-tin them like we always do, because when they're new chips, we want to make sure that they will not suck up all the solder that we have on the board. So we're just going to hit it with a little flux here. You guys are having a huge conversation there. All right, well, pre-tin these, and then we'll get them installed, and we can move on with this machine. 21 volt? No. These are 30 volt. They can't be 21 volt. But, you know, 220, 221, whatever it takes. You guys got the reference on that one? Mr. Mom, I know. Yeah. 30 volts, 31 volts, 80 amps, whatever it takes. Okay, that's a lot of solder on there, but more is better. More power. Okay, good enough club. Or squeeze out the solder. Let me move one out of the way so it doesn't blow away. And I'm not even going to add fresh solder on here because I already have solder on this, and it will merge together and be fine. And be happy solder. That's the Soren method. He's like, why? Why do we take off any solder? We don't need to do that. It's already here. And he is right. You just have to heat the board more. Well, I'm going to heat the board first before I put flux on it. So heat it up. Now put the flux on there. Otherwise it just blows away. And then now we can hit it. And wait for it to get shiny. It's shiny, good. Put that down for a second. Just tack it. Okay, that one's good. Look at the next one. Heat it up again, wait for it to be shiny. Set it down. There you go. This one has a lot of solder underneath it, so we're going to have to ooze some out. And so now that I have them tacked in place, we'll just hit it with some extra flux. What the flux got to do with it? Squeeze out some extra. Pick that up. Do the other one. Whoa, don't you go anywhere, big solder ball. Woo. I went grabbed on right there. I don't want that to go anywhere. See how big that thing was? Just touched it with the soldering iron and grabbed it. Okay. And then we'll refill it one more time and then they'll be done. Oh, they're 100 amp. Wait. Oh, that's a different one, which we're looking at. Thought this thing snagged on this Kapton tape, and I thought that it sparked. It made like a sparking sound. It made me jump just now. I was like, wait, the board's not even plugged in. So I'm refilling it one more time. It is a little crooked, but whenever you're squeezing out that solder, sometimes it does that. It goes a little crooked. Okay. That was good. Come on. There we go. Good. Perfect. All right, we're going to clean this up. I'm going to let it cool. 1 equals a P21. Oh, you were correcting yourself. Yeah, I'm not good with all those numbers. All right, it cooled off a little bit. Where'd my toothbrush go? Okay, remove this. And that one. Make sure we're all nice and clean. Clean up after ourselves. There's been so many countless boards I've looked at that people have never cleaned up after themselves. Let's measure to make sure that this isn't shorted anymore. We are in continuity mode. And we don't have a short there anymore. No shorty short. And the main power rail is not shorted. So we're good to go. That is good. So we have done everything we needed to do on this one. But I guess we should make sure it still turns on, right? So I'll put that there. Let me clear up some of this stuff out of my way. Did you guys want me to reinstall it, make sure it works? Or we can move on to the next one. We know it works, but did I break it after I just worked on it just now? That's the question. Did I make it worse? Brand new. I saved another laptop. I have some saved another laptop shirts now too. With my patented microscope looking face. Next, number 3 at 8:09. Okay. And the next one was the 17R3, I think. 15R3, 17R3? 17R3. M17R3. And it was, what was wrong with it? I don't remember. I'm just going to post this real quick just so we can, for peace of mind. Since it doesn't take that much work to put a screw in here and a plug it in. Bourbon time. Now we're going to do another repair because I'm crazy. Because I start getting delirious, but I will do bourbon time. I got some, what do I have at home right now? Oh my gosh. Some Smoke Wagon. That's some good stuff. And some Elijah Craig. Power meter says 0.04. We'll open it up. It's pulling 1 amp. It's doing its little CMOS reset. And I'm binding on a fan. A Buffalo Trace. Yes, I have a Buffalo Trace at home too. Yeah. So I just got a bottle of Buffalo Trace and some Smoke Wagon. Those are what I picked up this last Sunday or Saturday. So I usually drink them on the rocks. I'm a wimp. Usually add a little bit of water too, because, you know, I don't need to be getting drunk. I don't drink to get drunk. Buffalo Trace is cheap, but it's good. Yeah, it's like $40 bottle, you know, $38. But that's only if you can find it. That's the thing, is like, we have one of those big stores here that sell tons of liquor, and they'll have it, but it's a limit of buy one, and sometimes you only have a couple of them. Yeah. Oh, Smoke Wagon is solid. I mean, it's like a 80%, so 100 proof, or maybe 105 proof or something. But it's super smooth. It's not super smoky. I don't even like smoky stuff, so it's actually pretty good. And I can't remember who makes it personally, but oh, it's by Barrel, I think. So makes it. Come on, let's get an Alienware screen. There we go. Perfect. So we are good to go on this one. Let me grab the next one. The next one I'm sure will be a problem child. You know, the last few streams we haven't been able to fix anything. We keep having like problem childs after problem childs. So we have this beautiful, beautiful M17R3, but I'm going to wipe off my mat here because I don't like how dirty it is. Oh, that's cool. So, so he's saying that on the web, the P21 chip will probably run better than the B01. So it probably has more, you know, whatever, power dissipation. Where am I looking for? Alcohol. So that's good. So we just gave this guy an upgrade. So I can say that we upgraded him. And all your donations went to this guy's repair, so he got it discounted too, which is great. We need to get enough donations to give people free repairs. That would be even better. Okay, so this beautiful laptop is here because I like vague. I like it when it's vague. Here it is. Bought it off eBay. Had to install a drive and a battery. Will not power on. No operating system. Okay, so does that mean he bought it off of eBay and he installed the drive and the battery and then it stopped turning on? Or does that mean that he bought off eBay not working and had to install a battery? I don't know. I don't know what that means, but we love it, right? We love it. I don't want to know anything about it. So it makes it more entertaining. Okay, so we worked on one of these last week. Same model, actually. Bought off of eBay also. The guy had 2 boards. It ended up being an EC chip issue on one, or we replaced the EC chip, and then it ended up being the chipset on it, and then the other board ended up being an EC chip also. So what's the odds of having another EC chip issue? I don't know. So we hit the power button. Nothing's happening. Plug in the charger. Look at the power meter, 0.03, 0.02. That's good. Oh, thank you. I will change my title. M17R3. Do you think that's, oh, you think that works? Okay. All right, so I have the, wait, what happened? Why are we at 0, now? We were at 0.02, right? Okay, that's not good. So on these machines, when you plug it in, it should settle at 0.02, which means that the LDO is on, which is the linear voltage regulator, so the low dropout power supply, that powers the EC chip, and the EC chip is a chip that's running a loop of code. That's a little microcontroller, and it's monitoring the power button presses. So it should be sitting at that. Now, if it goes down to 0, that means it detected a short somewhere. Where's my hole? Get in your hole. Okay. 0.02, 0.01. Okay. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Now, if I open this lid, is it changing? Why did it go down to 0. I don't know. Okay, we're going to press the power button, and it went to 0 immediately, and back to 1. All right. Diagnosed. I know it's wrong. Yeah, it went to 0 when I retyped the title. So usually what this means is that we don't have a short on the main power rail, but we probably have a short on a lower power rail. So 3.3, the 5 volt, the chipset or something like that. We could still have one on the main power rail, but I doubt it. Usually it's not like that, because then you wouldn't be able to get the LDO. You wouldn't be able to get the chipset or the EC chip on. You wouldn't have it where it can actually listen to the power button being pressed. So, but most of the time it is a short further down. It may even be on the RAM power supply. Ooh, it might be the RAM power supply. So let's open up the bottom. No, it can't be on the main power rail. It can't be, because then we wouldn't have the 0.02. So we only had a couple screws in the bottom of this, and the bottom is off. Battery's plugged in. Let's see how many volts we have on the battery. We're actually having 11.3 on the battery, so the battery has enough voltage to try to power this thing on. So it's definitely, or it could be a power management chip, but no, I don't think so. I'm going to take this back cover off too while we're at it. I still have the screws here from the last repair, so I need to filter that out here. I can just put 2 of the screws in here from this repair. Let me pull this out. So what I do, this is a magnetic cup, and I just throw a magnet in here, and then I wipe it out. And now I have all the screws together, and then I can put it in the bin with the laptop. Oh, and that reminds me, I did get a gift mailed to me. So one of my subscribers, Daryl, mailed me a gift. And I forgot, I was going to open this here. And it is some of these magnetic cups. Some big ones. So here's my small one. He actually sent me 2 of them. So thank you so much, Daryl. I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to be using this. We will upgrade it right now to the big one. Boom. So now we'll get rid of this small one. So that was really nice of him to send that over. This is my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. Yeah, what was that? What was that show? The Bob Newhart? Yeah, Newhart. There you go. Yeah, I'm a little bit too young for that. I did watch it a little bit, but I was born in '80, so it was on, but it was like a little bit above my watching age. It was the greatest sitcom ever, huh? All right, I'm going to pull this off. All right, so we will get on the microscope. And I'm going to unplug the battery while we're testing here, but I just want to see if we're having any shorts. We're in continuity mode right now. This is where the DC jack plugs in. And similar to what we did in the last one, we're going to try to follow the path here. So this actually goes through vias on the board, I think. Let's see. I think it does. You can kind of see. So these pins are tied together. These pins are tied together, I think. And it goes to the other side of the board. Well, I know they pop up and come over here. It's just kind of hard to see, but it comes up and connects to here. So this is the first set of MOSFETs. Look, and they're P21 N03s, what we upgraded that last laptop to. So, and I've actually never had to change those out on this board, so I think we did the right thing. So we'll measure here. No short there. We'll measure on the output. These are in parallel, just like the other board. That's fine. And then now we need to measure the output of this. And we do have a short here. Or is that ground? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, it was just filling up the capacitor. So it was a fake. Whenever you measure it, sometimes it will actually beep like it's shorted, but it's just filling up a capacitor. So that one's fine, fine. And then it comes through this one, I guess? Yeah, and then energizes the main power rail. So here's the main power rail. And then here's the LDO. So we got 19 volts on this side and 3.3 on this side. Let me plug in the DC jack. We're going to measure voltage since we know that it's not shorted right there. And so we can see 20 volts here probably. Wait a minute. Do I not have a good ground? Why are we not getting 20 volts there? $16 volts. Wait a minute. Okay, 20 volts. I didn't have a good ground. And so we should have 20 volts over here. No, we only have 2 volts over here. So these actually might go to the battery. 1.2 volts. Now I'm confused. Because I know that we had the LDO on. Right? Do we have 20 volts here? Yeah. So those first MOSFETs are not turning on. But we do have 20 volts on the input of this linear voltage regulator, and then we have 3.3 on the output. So that's why we're getting the EC chip turning on. But we are not getting any of these MOSFETs to turn on. But I'm not. It's weird. Why am I not measuring the input properly? I swore that this is where it went to, and I've worked on this board a bunch. So why is my I shouldn't swear. That's what the problem is. Yeah, so we're not getting anything over here. But we do have it coming out of the DC jack. Huh, that's a strange one. That is a strange one, because we should be able to make it there. So let me grab a test board. Actually, I know where it is. I know what it is. Let me grab a donor board, and we can look at that real quick. The next best thing, right? When you have a board that works, or kind of works at least. Let me see if I can find one that powers on. I have a lot of these boards over here that are just here for different reasons. So I think this board powers on. So some of them just may need a connector replaced or something like that. So this board says that it gets 2.7 errors infrequently, which is basically the LCD doesn't show up or isn't detected sometimes. So I don't know what the cause is, so I always set this off to the side when I can't figure it out. So the other side of the board has these other MOSFETs here. So we have these two, and I think these are the protection MOSFETs that I'm checking, and then that's the current sensor resistor that I'm supposed to be looking for, but it's on the other side of the board that we can't detect. So that's why it looks like this is the area we're supposed to be testing, but if we flip it over, it's actually going to these first, right out of the DC jack. So if I plug this in, and then we measure the voltage there, 20 volts going in, 20 volts coming out, coming all the way to this current sensor resistor. So we'll have to pull the board out in order to measure this side. You can see these are all the inductors right outside past the DC jack where it plugs in. And then it goes through this circuitry here. These are a bunch of dual MOSFETs. Yeah, so let's put it under the thermal camera just for a second, just to see what it does. See if we notice anything weird. I mean, we don't have enough, let's say, current going through there in order for it to actually do anything, but we could look here. So you see this one spot that's getting hot. These are all reflections, but you can see that one area that's staying warm. That's at 32 degrees, 33 degrees. That is the LDO that we already know is on. So that's going to be this chip right here that we already know is on. And so that's sometimes people will say, oh, this chip's getting hot. Well, that's supposed to get hot because it's turning on. The rest of that stuff's reflections. That's why I'm kind of rocking the board across, back and forth. Now, we could try turning this board on, but whenever we turn it on, I hit the power button, the whole thing just shuts back off, right? So, but we do have a power button on this side of the board, so I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to press the power button. Here's a power button on the board right there, but I'm going to keep it on the floor view and see what it does. Okay, let's see, 3, 2, 1. It didn't do anything, and it's probably because the lid's closed and it won't let this button do anything, because the Hall effect sensor is thinking that it's that's thinking that the lid is closed. This is the E&E chip, which is the EC chip. This is what's in charge of paying attention to the power button presses. Always has some sort of dot on here, so that's just some sort of ink dot. So I'm not worried about that. It actually looks fine. But I'm pretty sure we have a short on some other power rail. And so what I want to do is I want to pull the motherboard out, and then we can measure, and then we can do it properly. There's no injecting voltage until we know what's going on, because we don't have a short. We haven't measured a short yet. And the 3 volt and the 5 volt and the RAM power supply and all that stuff's on the other side of the board. So we can't, if we haven't found a short, there's nowhere to inject voltage, if that makes sense. So let's get all this stuff taken off. You guys can ask some questions. Visual inspection first, yes. And I'm not actually, yeah, I guess we could look on this side because we might see something since the person, what did he say? He opened it up to do what? Add a hard drive? SSD? To install drive and battery. So he installed this SSD here. I guess I could take that out and see if that's shorted. You could have a bad SSD in here, I guess. I don't know. This is a different laptop than the last one we worked on, but it's the same laptop as we did last week, if that's what you're referring to. This is the M17R3, and we worked on one of these off of eBay last week also. People are starting to buy things off of eBay and send them to me, which is fine. It's kind of exciting. I'm not afraid. What is going on here? Okay. Why is this stuck in here? You know, what's funny is this looks like an OEM battery. Yeah, it should be. I was going to say, some of the knockoffs are starting to look pretty good, and I can look at the serial number and see if it looks legit. Because the serial number stickers, sometimes they'll have it where they reuse the same sticker part number. Oh, yeah, this is probably fake. This is probably fake. So you see this? It doesn't look right to me, the way that the serial number is laid out. And if you want to read one of these serial numbers, so we have the first two numbers is going to, or the first two letters is going to be the country of origin, so China. You can have it as TW like Taiwan. You can have JP for Japan. You can have MX. So that just tells you what country it was manufactured in. Then the next digits are going to be the part number, 0, and then 5 digits. Most of the time you can just ignore the 0. So this would be a 69 KF2. The rest of this becomes like one serial number. This is the third version of it. This tells you what the manufacture date was. So it's 2022, the second month, the first day. That's what that is. And I can't remember what these codes are, but we scan all this and put it as a serial number, okay? And then in our database, whenever we sell something. Well, the reason why I think that this is fake is A, it doesn't look, the layout doesn't look right. B, there's usually not dashes on here. C, this part number is the type number of this, okay? And the type number is the type number of the battery itself, not the part number of the battery. So you'll have a type number of 69KF2, but the part number of the battery should be something totally different. So it should be, there's going to be a few different, like for this battery, there'll be like 4 different part numbers. Let me grab a real one. Let me show you. Yeah, I only sell OEM parts, so that's why. Yeah. So here you go. Here's a real one. And let's see if we can line it up like this maybe. Yeah, I can tell this is fake. Man, I hate when people are knocking it off like that. Because I almost looked at it and was, oh, that's real. You can see the stickers look different. This one's like squarer. This one's rounder. You can see the QR code's a little bit, it's not actually a QR code. It's a matrix barcode. And then the layout is different here. Oh, they didn't even put made in China on here. Ah, because if it's made in China, you have tariffs. And then you also look at the way that this is laid out. This actually says Dell up here. Dell actually stopped putting Dell on some of these batteries, the way that they're doing it. And then you can see the fonts are a little different, so we're looking at them closer. I don't know if people are finding this interesting, but I definitely find it interesting when people fake stuff. So here's the real barcode, and that's the part number. And then we look at the fake one. Let's see, can I get them both in there? So there's the fake one. It does have dashes just like the other one. So the dashes are still there. But it says made in China, and then it has the part number underneath there. I bet if I scan this, it's going to be all weird. It's going to have some weird numbers in it. And then, again, if we look at like the fonts here, this says disconnect the battery before accessing parts or device. And let's see if it says the same thing. Disconnect the battery before accessing the parts or devices. Fonts are different. I don't know. It seems like if you're going to fake something, you can really just copy it. I don't understand how you're just like getting close. So anyway, counterfeits are getting better. So yeah, this is a fake battery. I don't know where he bought it, but you know, I don't know what cells are in there. You know, sometimes you can weigh it. Feels pretty close. Yeah, but like on chargers, like this one, so this charger that he has here, I wish that you guys could feel this. I don't have a real one right here, but that's fake for sure. So this charger's fake, and it weighs about half the weight of a real charger. I want to open one of these up because I'm sure there's nothing in here. It's just like half filled up with something. And so that means that this is completely just junk. I mean, it doesn't have any protection in here. So, you know, it probably could have blown out something too. Perhaps Dell changes labels. Well, I mean, I can go grab a brand new battery from the warehouse because I have brand new ones coming from Dell like every single week. And that's not what the labels look like on the brand new batteries. But I mean, I want to scan this. I can scan this label real quick. Let me scan it real quick. I'm going to do it on this other computer because I don't have a scanner on that computer. Ah, yeah, see, my system wouldn't even print it out because it's, there we go. I had to force print it. All right, so here's another way to prove it. So I just scan that barcode, and my system, I have it set up where if I scan the barcode, it will print out a serial number that I can put on like the bag and stuff. And this is the number that was in that barcode. So they're even stupid enough to have a different number in there. So when I scan that, this is the number that comes out of it. KR for what, Croatia or something? I don't know what country KR is. And then 0PPR5 is the part number, and then you have the next numbers. So anyway, completely different. So again, fake, 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 fake. KR for Korea? Yeah, Korea. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, you're right. So I don't know. That's just, it's crazy. If you're gonna fake something, just fake it. Just fake it with real stuff. Like, make the label look right. Put the right number inside of it. Like, we've gotten fake stuff before on accident, but because we serialize everything and everything is going through our system, it automatically kicks these things back and you can't even put them in. So anyway, that was my rant. I know maybe it was entertaining, maybe it wasn't. Maybe you learned something. The fake power supply may or may not supply enough power. I don't think it will. Like, if you're sitting here trying to pull 240 watts out of this, this is supposed to be a 240 watt charger. It's called AC Adapter is the brand. Very good brand. Let's see. Sorry, I can't get this in focus. So 12 amps. So it's supposed to be able to supply 240 watts, 12 amps. And it weighs half the amount of a regular charger. Yeah, I've done 2 YouTube shorts about this stuff. Nobody finds it entertaining though, so that's why I don't do that many of them. What are we doing? We're taking the board out. That's what we're doing. And I was ranting. The MOSFET's missing there on the board. Oh, Dave, you did it? You did a short about it? I haven't seen that. I need to see that. Yeah, I've done shorts about like which one's fake, and I'm like showing different things, and it's like those type of videos don't perform unless there's like some sort of controversy, but most people are like, yeah, but you know, we buy fake because it's cheaper, you know. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But if you're buying a real one and then it's fake, that's a totally different thing, right? So it's like, how do you identify which one's fake? Oh, we were doing a visual inspection. Thank you. Okay. So let's finish the physical inspection. This microscope is not cooperating. Okay, so we pulled out his SSD. We were looking to see if he caused any damage, but we don't know. He didn't really explain whether there was, like, the thing worked or not. I mean, I can't see anything obvious. This is the power management chip. That's what controls all these chips here, then does the charging. That's the EC chip. That's what handles turning on the board. I can pull this little cover off, because under here is actually the buck boost converter that produces the 3 and 5 volt power rail, so we can kind of measure over here for a short. I'm thinking it's going to be on the RAM, personally. Try it without the fake battery? Yeah, that's a good idea. That is true. All right, so I have the screen unplugged. I have all this other stuff unplugged. So the only thing I have plugged in is the power button. We have that SSD out of there. We have the fake battery unplugged, the screen's unplugged, and the touchpad and stuff. So let's see if it does anything different. And the board is still screwed in enough to not fall out, so we're good. All right, power meter. 0.02, that's better than we were getting. And now we're getting nothing, but it's not going down to 0. We're gonna have an EC chip thing again. Fee fi fo fum. We're getting tired of programming EC chips. I did one today already, or 2 today, I think. 2 this morning. That was 13 hours ago. Okay. So the way we're going to test to see if it is an EC chip is if the power rail comes up temporarily, then turns back off. So that's how we're going to figure that out. So I'm going to get our measurement probes out. Let me find a power rail. So I think this is the 3 and 5 volt power rail chip. I can't remember. This should be 5 volts maybe. So I'm measuring. I know you can't see. There we go. So I think this is the 3. This is the buck boost converter that runs the 3 and 5 volt. And then there's more MOSFETs on the other side, but I think we should have 3 or 5 volts right here. So when I plug in the power, I just want to see if it jumps up to it for a second. Went to 3.4 and then it shut off. All right. And so that means the main power rail is going to be coming up for a second. So if I measure over here, I'm going to unplug it, plug it back in, 20 volts, and it shuts back off. So we have an EC chip issue, guys. Again. So I don't know how often I have to do this, but yeah, and this board's the one that has kind of the weird setup. I mean, it's not going to take me that long to do it, but we did it last week, you know, so I don't know. Do you want me to do it again? And for people who don't know what I'm talking about, this is the EC chip, embedded controller. So it's like an Arduino or something like that. It's running a loop of code that's supposed to be checking for GPIOs, so general input and output ports, right? So it's going to be monitoring the keyboard presses and the power button, and it also communicates with like touchpad and like lots of other things like that. But it also speaks to the power management controller and allows the board to turn on. This has some firmware on it, and if it gets corrupted, the only way to do it is to actually reflash it. So, and on this board, there's some test points that we can reflash it manually, because you can only do it if the board will turn on, but if this thing doesn't turn on, it doesn't work. So we have a test point here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is this one, I think. And so we just put probes on there, and then we upload a flash to it, and then it fixes it. So I'm going to put a poll up, and then we'll figure out if you guys want to see me do that. It won't take me that long because, I mean, I'm getting better at doing it faster, but let's see. Okay, so I did it last week. You guys seen it. I've done it in other videos. Okay, well, 60%, 59. I know it could be boring, but it's not going to take super long, and then it would be it feels so good to see that Alienware screen come on, right? And we won't even have to take the board out. I'll try to do it without taking the motherboard out. Let's see if we can do that. And that may save a little bit of time. Yeah, or we can move to the other one, which I could show you what the other one is. The other one is one of these huge old Alienwares, and it's notorious for people ripping the LCD connector here. And so I'm pretty sure that this just needs to be replaced, although it doesn't look that bad. I was just going to replace the whole connector. Oh, it just fell out of there, yeah. So we were going to remove this whole connector and put a new one on. Would be the next thing. Oh yeah, you can see it flopping around. So they forget to unhook this and then they just rip it off the board. And so this whole thing's damaged. So we're going to take that whole thing off and put a new one on. That would be the next thing to move to. But 67% of the people are saying, let's go ahead and just do the EC chip. It won't take me that long. Let's do it. But again, donate to the stream. I don't keep any of the money. It goes straight to the customer. And the more money you donate, the less money they have to pay, which is nice. And anytime I talk to them the next day or after I work on this, and I say, hey, you know, there were $60 in donations or $100 in donations. And then, you know, since we're on 2 repairs, we're having to split it. So the more money we get in the stream, the more that goes to these people. So let me grab our stuff to program this. We're at 69% of the people want to see it. And why is this corrupting so often? I don't know, but I am seeing it a lot on this model, the R3 and R4, a lot. And I don't know, because I've seen it just shut off. Taylor, thank you so much for the $20 donation. That's $10 per repair. So we're going to grab my programmer here and my cheat sheet. Easy lobster dinner. That's for last. Yep. Yeah. These repairs that are easy as a lobster dinner. I wasn't going to pull the board out because I don't have to, but I only have 2 more screws. So I'm going to take the board out. I told you I wasn't going to, but it will be easier to fit into this apparatus. Windows updates are corrupting it sometimes, yeah. But I've seen people, at least in their notes, saying that they were just playing a game and then the thing just shut off. So I don't know if there's a power surge situation. Could be something like that. But you noticed how I checked whether it was the EC or not. It was like, basically right when you plug it in, all the power rails will come up temporarily and shut off as kind of a little test. And then after that, then the EC's in charge of turning it on. So that's a good way of testing. I don't know how if other boards do that, but that's the same like test I use for whether it's a BIOS issue or not, because you never know if it's a BIOS issue, but if all the power rails are up and running, then we know it's a BIOS issue. And on this one, we know it's not a BIOS issue because the BIOS doesn't come on until the EC chip comes on. So right now, if I go measure the voltage on the BIOS chip, it will have 0 volts. It's the EC chip's job to turn on the BIOS chip. Awesome. Thank you for another $10 donation. Perfect. Coming along. Okay. So last week we did this, and we're doing it again this week. So this is my PC bytes setup here. These things are needlepoint and they're spring loaded, and then these are weighted and they can sit in any position, so I can just put them in those probe points and I can hook wires to it so I don't have to solder to the board. And then this is my programmer. I have a link to this programmer in the video description, the exact one I use. I'm just going to mount the board in here like this. And these little standoffs will hold the board for me. Okay. Oh, I want to tell you guys, I totally forgot about this. This week I figured out how to turn off the Windows Updates BIOS flashing, automatic BIOS flashing from Windows Updates. So, I'll do a video on this, but you get a little sneak preview. So inside, at least Dell BIOSes, yes, capsule updates, you're right, lead farmer. So I just figured this out. But yeah, so inside the BIOS, there's going to be something called UEFI capsule updates. Just turn that off in your BIOS, and then it won't do the update. So that's all you have to do. So this is my cheat sheet that will kind of show me the layout on where I'm putting the probes. And I have, it's color coded. So I'm going to have to supply power to the board. So I have a DC jack here. And then I need to plug in the USB. I don't know if it can be done in any PC, but I'm assuming they have a capsule update thing in the BIOS. You just might need to check. Lead farmer probed another alien. I probe aliens, man. All right, so I'm going to hook ground, and then we're going to put our probes on those areas. We're going to probe this alien man. Okay. And another thing we can do to test to see if this thing, if the EC chip is up and running, is if we probe the communication lines on this EC chip, which is going to be right here. If I can get my meter, I'm in voltage mode. So it's going to be this pin, or this point, and that point. So I'm going to just hold this on here, look at my voltmeter when I plug it in. Oh gosh, guys, I wish this automatically changed when I went to this view. So it's going to be this point, this one, and this one. Those are the four that we're hooking to, but I'm just going to hold my probe there when I plug in. And it should go to 3, yep. And then it will turn off after a few seconds. Well, it's just staying on 3. And so all these should have 3 on it. And so we know that those things are ready for communication. So the first probe we're going to do, I'm going to move this camera to right here. See if y'all can get another view. All right, so my first probe I'm going to put on is going to be, I don't remember, blue. Oh, so we're going to do blue, and it's going to be this one over here, right there. And then the next one is going to be yellow and purple. And these colors are just the way I have these plugged in, and my cheat sheet tells me what I have them hooked to. But so I'm going to say yellow on this one, purple on that one. Okay, so these are just weighted. They just sit down on here. There we go. The next one, actually I'm going to turn this one around because that wire's in my way. And of course I'm going to bump these as I put them in, but I'm going to fix it in a second. That one goes there. There we go. And the last one is back there behind all that stuff. It's going to be green. And hopefully I can get it in place. The other day I did this one and the first try I got it to connect. And so normally if you've watched me do this before, I have to struggle with it. But I am getting better at getting it to connect really fast. So we're going to get that just lined up as best I can. Okay, everything's there. Plug that in. Let me pull up the program. Let me turn it on. I'm going to change views, I think. I have to change to this one. Right? No, which one is it? I can't remember where I have it. This one? Yeah, okay. So we'll just move that out of the way. So we have this setup, and we are first going to connect to it. We're going to choose the chip, we're going to connect to the actual reader, and then we need to select the right board. But I'm just going to select the 9542 GF chip, because that's actually what we're connecting to, and then you can select any board that has that in there. And I'm going to select soldering, and then we're going to send that programming to the reader. And then now I need to plug in the motherboard. So I have power right here. I'm going to plug it in. And then I'm going to test connection. I thought I was going to get on the first try. Didn't. So let me just make sure these guys are tight. We'll try again. That would have been nice to hit it on the first. Okay, now we're going to look at it. Let's see, which one's not good? Do I have my colors right too? That's what I got to check. Purple and yellow and green. So purple, yellow, green. So I have them all right. So maybe it's this back one. Okay, try that again. Plug it back in. Fun. Yep. Having fun now. I know that's the right one. I think this one's just not on there right. Okay. One more time. Burnt chip? Yeah, it could be. It's hard to see that, you know, that, I haven't, no, because that chip, because the, I was going to say that the 3-volt lines are on there, so, and usually that means it's good. I've rarely ever had to replace it when it isn't pulling, like, you know, some burned out current, because it's not like actually getting hot or doing anything that's showing that it's burned. Confusing. I thought this was going to be fast, and now it's taking too much time. Blue. I have my ground wires hooked up properly. And we purple. We have the colors right, so everything's in the right spot. It's just whether we're getting it to connect. Oh, this one slid off. Okay. You can't see it, I know, but we'll be back. Okay. There we go. Connected. All right, so we connected to it. I usually read it just in, I mean, I don't really need to because I know it's corrupted, but we'll back it up. And his repair number, 25791. Okay. All right, we're just reading it off the chip, so we're just going to back it up, and then we'll write the new one on, and then this laptop will be fixed, I'm assuming. So now we're going to write a new one. I've shown how to do this in the past, so I've extracted a Dell BIOS using an extraction tool, and then there's a region in the Dell BIOS that you download, the recovery BIOS actually, that has it in there. I need to find which BIOS it is. Let's see. Let me search. M17R3. And so in here, this is what is inside Dell's BIOS. So they have this area that's called OEM EC region, 160 kilobytes. And so we're just going to write that to the chip. You always preferred the other way that I've reprogrammed the BIOS. Well, this isn't the BIOS, this is the EC chip, and this is the only way to program this EC chip, period. There's no other way to get this board working. You could buy, actually you could buy an E&E chip that's already pre-programmed and solder it on there. You could do that, but reflowing the chip, most likely is not going to be the issue. I haven't seen that be an issue on this board. So we're able to communicate with it. We were able to back up the old one. We were able to write a new one to it. I'm unplugging the power now, and we will pull these off gently. So one by one. And I don't want to mess up my tips here. These PC Bytes are really, they paid for themselves. It was about 150 bucks for this set. And I almost wanted to buy another set of 4, but I don't need them because all these programming only uses 4 of them. And I've made my money back times and time over on this. So I have links to all this stuff that I use inside the video description. Okay. So now we can install this back in the board, in the machine. How are we doing on time? 2 hours and 34 minutes. Is anyone falling asleep yet? Yeah, Sam, you might be talking about my Pogo pen, the 6x8. Yeah, Pogo pen reader. Yeah, so that works really well on BIOS chips that are programmable like that, but this is not a BIOS chip. Oh, yeah, I guess the time restarted. You're right. It's been 3 hours. Oh, man. That's funny. That's funny. I've been looking down at the just the counter time, and I'm like, okay, well, 3 hours is about, you know, I still have time, but it's 9 o'clock already. Okay, we're just going to install this real quick, and then I probably will not start another one, seeing how it's been 3 hours, if this thing works. Unless you really twist my arm. But it is getting late, and I haven't had dinner. Yeah, I'm on for 3 hours now, but I've also been at work here for almost 14 hours. Yeah, I know, I need to eat. Pause the stream and have a burger, right? And a bourbon. Bourbon and burger. And go all night long. This is going to be an overnight stream. All the people in the UK already went to sleep, though, I bet, right? Is JFix already gone? Because it's getting late. Yeah, lobster. A lobster burger. Okay, partially installed. Good enough club. Let's plug in the power. Keep an eye on the EC, or the power meter. Here we go. 0.02, perfect. I don't know if I plugged in the power button, but we'll see. 0.18, 0.68, 0.03, and it should come up to 1.5 amps after that, or 2 amps. There we go. I don't have the keyboard backlight coming on, but I do have an Alienware screen, and we are in manufacturing mode because that's what because I flashed that new EC chip on there. But we may have an issue with the keyboard, or is the keyboard lit up? Oh, it is lit up. It's just all in one color. So let's go into, cool, look at that. So we're in the BIOS. We have, this is an i9 10980 HK. Has a RTX 2070 Super. So, boom. I saved another laptop. Oh, well that was good. This is a productive one. The last couple streams I've haven't been able to fix anything. So we were able to get 2 of them done. And that one wasn't too bad. Oh. So, oh man, yeah. I just realized how tired I feel now. So I hope everyone enjoyed this one. So we were able to fix 2 of them. We got some donations. It doesn't really tell me how much donations we got, but we got some donations, and we can, I'll spread the love to all the people who sent these laptops in. And I'm gonna go home and eat some food and drink a bourbon and go to sleep. So, oh, technically I did 3 because I did the BIOS recovery. That is right. Whew, I forgot about that one. And then technically I've done like another 5 before that today. So we are so backed up, it is crazy. Yeah, people are just shipping laptops in. We're getting these huge stacks every single day. And it's hard to keep up with it. So, but yeah, everyone, if you want this shirt, Probe Aliens, I got it linked below. I have my other shirts in there too. And I appreciate every single person who has sat through this whole thing. Hopefully it's not too boring. Hopefully you're entertained by it. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
I saved another laptop.